Evening, Porsche fans. So now we've had several little clips on how to use this tool, but tonight I'm going to make a little clip on just sort of the core steps, the core functions. And at a very minimum, this tool has to do two things for us. It has to tell us what the current tension is on the belts, and it has to help us make the adjustment. So now, to show us both of those things, I'm going to do the adjustment first, then we're going to spin the engine, sort of simulating running the engine, and then we'll come back and measure it, and we should get the same number. So, like before, we talked about before maybe, or if you've read my instructions, we get this reference bar, this calibration bar, and it tells us 0.166 is our reference for cam belt adjustments. So we just dial that in, 166, it's right here. Just loosen up this little guy, which is a little delicate, but you don't have to tighten him up very tight to help for it to hold. But anyway, so we got our reference in. And we just mount this tool on here. Oh, before I do that, I've rotated to top dead center, the big mark up here, and then 10 degrees before top dead center. If you ever notice these other balance, this balance belt is in time, and I put some little markers of where it goes, and you can kind of see they've moved from right there to right here. That's their amount of movement. It's not 10 degrees. Anyway, so we mount this up. Get it on here like we've done 100 times in the last few weeks. Make sure our rollers down in the nubs, sleds are directly on the belt as evenly as we can make them. Nudge is not a problem, and well, I guess that's it. Now it's giving us a number really loose now, 0.257. What's happened here, we're sort of simulating it. This belt has been changed. Cam belt has been changed. And it's on here, but it's very loose. So, we're going to make the adjustment. Now, whenever you release the tension on the securing nut, any of them, you want to have your thin wrench on it. Sometimes they'll spin, and then you got to go through a big adjustment. So here we go. It's going to come all the way around. In fact, I have to get another bite on it. It's got so far to go. And here we go. Now, those markers that you see I'm coming up on, that's our target. I just picked those numbers out of thin air. That range is about typical for a cam belt. And we're going for the lower markers at 185 and the upper ones at 190. So here we go. Now, you want to do this kind of slow because you're putting pressure on the belt. And you want to overshoot. That's my word for it. Overshoot your target. My target's right about there, 197. Well, let me go up a little bit tighter and then come back to it. And let just the minimum amount of thumb pressure on that wrench to hold it there. You might even thumb the belt or snap the gauge. But the idea is we'd like to be coming down, well, loosening the belt as we settle into our target. And then just enough pressure to hold it there, and we're ready with our ratchet or whatever to tighten it, and there we hold it in. That's it. Now we've made our adjustment. Now, okay, so car's ready to drive. Put it all back together. Get our equipment off of it. Start the engine up. Run it through a million revolutions, and we're going to simulate that with one. I'm doing this short steps, not bump the camera. Come around to top dead center. There it is. Look how my mark is. These other guys are lining up for me. Back up 10 degrees, just like before. And that makes the camshaft, sort of stops it from moving because there's springs that we're backing up into. Anyway, we're right where we want to be. So now we're going to verify what we got before. Remember, it was 197, right between the two marks. Let's see if it can do it. See if our technique's good enough. Okay, there we go. That feels pretty good. Always got to watch that roller because sometimes they don't sit down in there just quite right. Now, we're reading about 196. We snap the gauge one time and we're 197 plus. That's what we wanted. That's the end of this clip.